Bassline gonna make man shatter. Bassline gonna make man shatter.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to, hopefully you can see us okay and everything, welcome along to Esports Masters League. It is season number 7, it is console tier 1, it is round 1 of the championship. We take in the Austrian Grand Prix from the Red Bull Ring. My name is James Head. I'm delighted to be taking you through the stream, of course, and indeed for the rest of the season as your lead commentator for EML F1. And joining me in the commentary box, the man who sadly has just smoked a rollie off stream. About as much as I'll give about that. It is Mr. Michael Edwards. Mike, how you doing?
I am doing absolutely fantastic, James, and got outed like that. Oh God! But yeah, looking forward to what should be a very exciting season. Of course, these 10 teams done incredibly well in qualifying, which we saw. I believe it was it last week or the week before? I'm forgetting weeks and that now. It's been so long since we've gone racing here in EML, and I'm looking forward to the season getting underway.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago was for that social race and indeed for qualifying night. In fact, 2 weeks ago. The rest was, of course, the social races before that. But now we get to the nitty gritty. Now we get to who is going to determine and who's going to win this season. 2 teams, of course, that do feature as part of this season in a bit of a review and a recap of last season. The tail of last season between ET8 and Team Shazoo. Believe it or not, ETA, we were reading up on these stats a little bit beforehand just to make sure I got them right. And ETA have got 4 pole positions last season compared to 0 for Team Shazoo. They are a qualifying-based team, Team Shazoo. That was picked up with their 3 wins. In the end, ETA won the season on 338 points. But that graphic, I think, is striking in 2 ways. One, ETA were pretty dominant. And 2, Team Shazoo didn't get any pole positions last season, which might be a concern for their first qualifying session here.
Yeah, and I was surprised as soon as I saw that they didn't get a pole position last season because like obviously Team Shazoo, incredible team as we know, and we would have thought they would have got a pole position. Of course, they did end up losing the championship last season due to the absolute chaos that happened at Singapore. If you remember that race, James, it was such a such an incredible race that was. But yeah, I mean, ETA just showed great consistency not only in the qualifying but also in the races as well. As you can see, with 4 wins and 8 podiums to their name, and obviously they were tied on the fastest laps. But it just shows the consistency of ET8 last season versus Shazoo.
Yeah, I believe ETA had 2 1-2 finishes last season, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Mateo was certainly one of them. He took 3 wins out of the 4 for ETA. Could you call it instead Mateo Esports instead of ET8 Esports? There might be a little bit of a bias towards how Mateo did last season. He did end up, I think, winning the Drivers' Championship as well, if I'm not mistaken, last season. But you want the present, you want the future as well, what is going to happen tonight. Let us have a look through at the driver lineup for tonight. And it is a pretty stacked field of the 10 teams that have qualified. For GT10 Esports, who are normally in the Mercedes because we're running the multiplayer cars for the first round, Lorenzinho and Quartz, a very, very decent team, I've got to say, for GT10, alongside each other. Nam and Arocca, former Team Mentalism drivers, now part of Team Exosia, of course, for EXT. Danny Van Ruyten, and then Luca Rapazza, who has been named quite literally very late by Team Shazoo, but they got the squad submission in. They got Luke Rapazza in there, and he joins Danny Van Ruyten tonight there in normally what would be the Ferrari. Frankus and Gatkowski are in for CPI. Very good, consistent team there for CPI Esports. Then Team Avisio making their debut here in EML this season. They've got EVE Finley and George Ansell. George Ansell, of course, a PSGL PSF1 driver. Ryan and Spies are in for NLR. Not surprised that they have named that lineup, to be honest. Owen and Azim there for ET8. Azim was on the podium, I think, last season, or did do very, very well in a couple of races last season for ET8. Agonised and Typical, because we've gone all cross-play. They're from the Xbox side, they're from the WR side as well. Agonised and Typical for FRT. Crowding and Justin in for BRT. Very consistent team for BRT. And then Flo, who's an Xbox man for TTM, and Harrison Holmes alongside there for top tier motorsport. So looking through that driver lineup, we've got 19 drivers currently in the lobby. Everything looks pretty wide open, I've got to be honest. Obviously, you've got striking teammates like Danny Van Ruyten and Luke Rapazza for Team Shazoo. But there's teams out there like Frankus and Gatkowski, Crowding Justin, Agonised and Typical. If they show their A game, they're going to be right there or thereabouts.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, like just looking at the lineups now for tonight, it is very wide open. As you mentioned, obviously, our eyes are immediately drawn to Team Shazoo's Danny Van Roten and Luca Rapaza. But obviously, we saw last season Azim doing very well for ET8. Owen, a driver that's been gradually on the up and up over the past few game cycles, so definitely someone to keep an eye on. Obviously, NLR with Ryan and Spicer, like that's going to be a very, very strong lineup for NLR. And then, of course, a lineup that I think will be a little bit under the radar, but a very strong lineup nonetheless. EVE Finley and George Ansell.
Yeah, both Brits, of course, for Team EVE. We're about to get going. 10 seconds to go until we get into the lobby for the action out on track. But a big fan, I can't even speak. A big fact coming from my end. We've got 11 different nationalities racing here tonight as part of the 20-strong lineup that we've got in F1. So it is a really, really mixed field. It is going to be really interesting. NLR shouldn't be forgotten about as well with Ryan and Spicer. But let us have a look. Hopefully this works at the Spielberg the Red Bull Ring, of course. 4.3 kilometers length, 2.6 mile with 3 DRS zones, one up the hill and towards turn number 3 at Schlossgold, one down in towards turn number 4 even at Schlossgold, one up towards turn number 3 at Remus, and then one up the hill in towards turn number 1 on the start-finish straight. Plenty of opportunities for overtaking, plenty of opportunities for action. And Mike, if it's anything like the PSGL PSF1 race we got around here, this is going to be pure chaos and our voices are going to be gone by the end of 36 laps.
Yeah, of course, Austria is one of those circuits where it just provides a lot of close action. Of course, the 3 DRS zones making it very difficult for drivers to lose touch of each other. Strategy is going to be so key for every single driver out there, knowing when to pick the undercut. From what I've seen on this game cycle, is very good around the Red Bull Ring. So it's all going to be about timing that pit stop strategy to get yourself in a nice bit of clear air and, of course, to build a gap on your rivals in behind.
Exactly, and there's a lot of flurry coming out of the pit lane as well, not giving me enough chance to try and turn off my camera so it doesn't lag. Hopefully, that has now been done, which I hope it has. I hope it just hasn't clicked on again. I think it might have done. But we are going to go live into the lobby very, very soon indeed. In fact, actually, I'm going to stick it studio mode. My camera is somehow still on. I'm now going to turn that off. There we go. We should be fine now. Apologies about the slight lag you may be receiving, but we have got cars out on track. And the first car out on track, and I'm trying to see desperately who it might be because there's so many. I think it's Danny Van Royten, if I'm not mistaken, for Team Shazoo. He's coming through the right-hand of turn number 4 at Schlossgold, a driver that has been on form with his PSGL PSF1 season. Definitely a name to look out for here tonight, Mike.
Yeah, definitely, and we're going to be seeing what he can do. Of course, the first man out on track, all eyes will be on Danny Van Royten as he looks to get himself underway here, James. And obviously, you can take us away with the lap here from Danny.
Let's have a look on board then with the 3-time Motormax, Minimax, and Rotomax champion, of course, in real life even. It is Danny Van Royten running up the hill in towards turn number 1 at the Lauder curve, flicking it right through turn number 1, and now up this long uphill drag up towards turn number 3 at Schlossgold. We haven't got, actually, any sound coming through, which is a little bit concerning. Hopefully, that might have just fixed it. It rolls into life now, coming through turn number 3 at Remus, and now on the run down the hill and towards turn number 4 at Schlossgold. I've just realised as well that the logo is a little bit too high, but there we go. Hopefully you can see that now. Danny Van Royten coming to the right hand of turn number 4 at Schlossgold. Now in toward the Pirelli curve at turn number 6, really trying to find the car's limits coming through this part of the track. 44.1 is quick for this session early on. Danny Van Royten now coming through the Verth curve at turn number 8, up the hill in towards turn number 9, but now bridging into the final 2 corners. This will look a really, really decent lap from Danny Van Royten. Now coming through the final corner at the Red Bull Mobile curve, on the run toward the line, should be running 103.2 or 103.3 from Danny Van Royten, nearly getting by. He is currently topping the timing. Spicer coming in behind, just in.
Yeah, and good lap there from Danny Van Royten. He's going to be very confident with what he can do now for the rest of qualifying, having such a good lap down early on. The confidence is only going to build from him. The one thing I was going to ask you, James, obviously we're already seeing low threes here on their first runs. Do you think we're going to maybe see a 102 perhaps?
Yeah, I think we could, to be honest. Apologies if you are experiencing a few lag issues. Well, just trying to look and see if there's anybody that we can ride on board with right now. As I hope I'm back. I don't know what is going on with the stream of anything here tonight. Danny Van Ruyten out on top, Spies in second, Harrison there in third. Quartz, however, is on a lap now, coming through the left-hander of turn number 9 at the Pirelli curve. We'll see what his middle sector is going to be like. 44.1, bang on where Danny Van Ruyten was in the middle sector. The Belgian should not be holding back at all in terms of this session. GT10 should not be holding that back either with their new logo that they've got in the graphics. Oh, big snap of oversteer as Luca Rapazza absolutely obliterates Danny Van Ruyten's time. Quartz might go in between the pair. In the end, he goes safe, but it is Luca Rapazza out on top, Danny Van Ruyten in second. If you want to make a statement, Team Chazoo, that's the way to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with Azim currently in fifth, and obviously Owen yet to get a lap on the board at the back of the field right now. Obviously, continuing on from the rivalry of which they had last season, ET8 and Team Shazoo. And will this be a great way for Team Shazoo to start off their campaign by doing what they couldn't do last season and get a pole position?
Yeah, quite possibly. Track map, by the way, was running in the background, so it should be now beginning to try and calm itself down, I think. I honestly think so. Yeah, it's going to be really intriguing, I think, to see how everyone is going to really progress, I think, out on track. Luke Rapazza obviously being the star name, Danny Van Ruyten there in second. Team Shazoo, compared to ET8, you said it earlier on, I think ET8 personally have got a bit of a weaker lineup compared to what they should be running. Owen there down in 20th hasn't got a lap in at the minute. Azim's there in 5th, and he should be up there, honestly, in the top 5 right now, because he is a very consistent driver. But for me, Team Shazoo have got an absolute fantastic lineup here tonight. ET8 have gone slightly conservative for round 1, but do they want to start and mean to go on a little bit more? It really does depend on how things are going to progress. A Smeg there in the chat. Who's the Welsh on comms? I love it how he refers to you as Welsh. That is the best thing I've seen all season. Luke Rapazza out on top, Danny Van Ruyten second, Spicer in third, with 6 minutes gone in qualifying.
Honestly, I think it's terrible that he doesn't remember me. Smeg, what's going on, mate?
As a violation towards my cool comms here alongside me in the commentary box, that is for sure. Danny Van Ruyten is back on an outlap. There is somebody coming through the final corner, running across the line. It is NLR Ryan coming through the final corner on the run towards turn number 1. Let's run on board with the NLR man through the first sector. We'll see what the German can do. Of course, travelling over the border from Austria, his native Austria these days, of course. Ryan coming up the hill in towards turn number 3 at Remus, and 15.9 in the first sector is very good, but it's actually down on what it was at, so we've got to hope that he can try and set a better lap time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm coming on board with Danny Van Ruyten, 100th up in the first sector. So fighting number 4 with Danny Van Ruyten as he approaches the braking for turn number 6, throws the car in, carrying the momentum through 6. Let's see what the middle sector split is saying. He's 9 thousandths up, but gets a little bit too much onto the inside curb. That definitely would have scrubbed off just a bit of time for the Team Shazoo man as he runs down now into the pits. He realised that that small mistake means that Shazoo drivers with a 1 minute 3.3. Of course, to people asking about the stream lagging right now, it is having some slight issues right now. Of course, we are working on that to make sure it is running very smoothly for you guys watching. Coming on board with Harrison coming through turn number 4 right now as he is looking to try and get himself up the order. Needs to find an extra 10th if he wants to get himself onto the front row. Needs to find 3 tenths. Well, 2.5 tenths if he wants to challenge Luca Rapazza, who's just beginning his lap. But you see there, Harrison just snatching a bit too much of the inside curve through turn 7. That's unsettled him into 8, and that is an invalidation there from the TTM man. As Luca Rapazza getting his lap underway now, coming up the hill towards the first sector split. 4 hundredths of a second up in sector 1 as he gets a very decent exit out of turn number 3 as we run down now in towards turn number 4 with the man currently on provisional pole position, 103.16. To the middle sector split, is he still up in his time? He's 6 hundredths of a second up on his time. This will put him there or thereabouts, or the free flat. But let's see if he can find any time in the final sector. Through turns 9, throws the car in, keeps it all valid there through the final corner. Look where it passes, and he's just snagged a little bit on the exit, and that
Wouldn't
is an
have improved.
invalidation there for Luca Rapazza.
And he wouldn't have improved. He would have went 400ths down on his personal best. I'm trying to fix as much as possible, if I can, the issues that are plaguing the stream right now. I have just said in the chat I did update OBS and Elgato, so I maybe should check next time before I try and stream live. I have had this laptop on all day as well, so might be that. Luke Rapata out on top. From George Ansel in second, Danny Van Ruyten there in third. Speaking of the man, the myth, the legend of Danny Van Ruyten, he's up the hill and towards turn number 1 at the Lauder curve. He runs wide coming through turn number 1, but run up the hill now and towards turns 2 and the right-hander now of turn number 3 at Remus. Should be expecting a 15.9 in the first sector. Oh, 15.9 bang on through the first sector. 3,000 down. Danny, I have just said that. And it's now beginning to crash again, which is brilliant. Danny Van Ruyten, though, coming through the right-hander of turn number 4. Don't know what is going on with the stream. Towards the right-hander now of turn number 9. Through the right-hander of turn number 10. Hopefully you can see on board with him right now. On the run toward the line. Does he go quicker? No, goes second.
He does go quicker. He goes a 10th quicker, and he gets himself onto the front row for Danny Van Ruyten. So again, it's a 1-2 for Team Shazoo. One suggestion I do have for you, maybe opening the Task Manager and see if you've got any anything running in the background that you don't realize, and maybe you have to close them down. So that might be occupying the CPU type thing.
If